So many of you have been wondering how I made my last two levels, tianxia and xolis. If you haven't seen them, go watch them now, then come back to this video. If you're too lazy to watch them, they are basically just two short movies in Geometry Dash, each with their own unique way of showing the frames. So tianxia is basically just these weird flipping triangles, and xolis is just a bunch of circles. So how did I make them? Did I do it all by hand? Well, some of you had already figured out that I didn't, and that I have used a script or a bot. But what does that even mean, and how did I get it to make levels for me? But first, some quick backstory. This whole thing actually started back in January. I was experimenting with the PyAuto GUI Python library. Basically, it's a tool for programming scripts that move the mouse around, clicks on stuff, and use the keyboard. I was trying to make it so that I could feed in an image and it would recreate it with the fewest objects possible in Geometry Dash. It worked, kind of. As it turns out, Geometry Dash is quite inconsistent. Sometimes it takes a bit more time than usual to do an action, and sometimes it doesn't even work. This caused a problem, since my script couldn't really see what's going on the screen. If something went wrong, it would just keep going. So I had to figure out a better way if I wanted to keep exploring this. And there was one obvious way, directly editing the save file. There was one problem though. The save file looks like this, but with the help of some cool people I managed to figure out how to use it. And now I'm going to show you how I used it. So this is the code for tianxia. As you can see, it's mostly written in JavaScript and some Python right here. I'll quickly go through how the code works. So basically here, in this folder called intro. It's actually not just the intro, it's the entire level, so it's all the individual frame images. So you can see here's the Earth coming, and then later some other stuff. Alright, let's run this thing. As you can see, it takes a while. And yeah, so now it's optimizing. So it's going through all the different colors and adding fades between triggers, and it took away this many objects, so it took away over 1 million objects. And these many more objects are also high detail objects. So they only appear if you don't have low detail. And then this is how many objects it actually ends up being. So not too many. If we go into Geometry Dash now, we will see that this has been written to this level. Of course, it's with a stereo madness, but it will still be the level you all know and love. There's the Earth. Yeah. So let's move on to xolis. So this is a code for xolis. It's actually way simpler, even though it might not look that way. It's because, as you can see, it's only one JavaScript file, which is doing all the work. It's mostly because I used this library called Geometrize. By the way, here are all the images. Yeah. Alright. Let's run this. So as you can see, this takes a little more because it has to read all the circles. I have actually saved each frame inside here in this JSON file, which has each individual circle. So this is for example a circle, and these are all the frames, and it has to open every one of those files and read every single circle. So yeah, that took a while, but here we are. It used 841 groups, and it used this many objects, and it wrote to a level unnamed 0, and it's done. So let's open Geometry Dash. So yeah, here it is. And as a little bonus, I'll also show you what this looks like in the editor. Oh. So yeah, this is what it looks like in the editor. There's a bunch of frames stacked on top of each other, which are all like not that many objects each, but in total they make up to a lot of objects. And then yeah, I'm toggling them on and off so the editor won't like freeze and lag. But if I delete all these toggle triggers, you'll see that it's actually a crazy mess. A bunch of frames on top of each other. I won't explain exactly how this works, but it's pretty simple. Basically, it just moves each of these stacks of frames here and then moves them all down really fast, and then goes on to the next stack of frames, and then makes sure to not move many of them at once, basically, so it doesn't lag. So the last thing I want to show you is how I made the video. So many of you have been accusing me of stealing things from the internet, and I just put it in Geometry Dash, but I actually made this whole thing myself. Most of it is 3D animated in Blender. Some of it is just stock footage, like this. So I'll actually show you some of it in Blender. So if we open up Blender here, for instance, this one, light bulbs, this is the intro to Xolis. So as you can see, this is, you might recognize this. Maybe if I turn on shaded. Yeah. And also this one you might recognize. This is the pretty latent level. The stairs.